So it happened. It actually happened. Helldivers 2 released on the Xbox. The tears have dried. The dust has settled. And ultimately, it doesn't even matter. So those of you who are normal gamers won't know anything about all of this because you play games, you love your games and you enjoy your games. That's it. And that's how it should be. You won't have a clue about none of this. But recently, within the last week, I have decided to descend back to the depths, the sewage of the online gaming community on X, aka Twitter, and YouTube comments. And within the slurry of dirge are a sizable group of people who were those who had me frustrated with the community in the first place, who talk about games but don't play them, which is fine. You can do whatever you want in this life, but it's hard to respect that opinion. You know, show us your trophy, show us your gamer score, as they say. So Helldivers 2 recently dropped on Xbox, and as I said, if you're a normal gamer, you'll think, oh, this is cool, I'm going to play it. This is Halo, by the way, it's not Helldivers. You know, that's cool, I'm going to play it. And enjoy it or not enjoy it. There's even a little story about, you know, PlayStation gamers sort of griefing Xbox owners on it, which is fine. Man up, Xbox guys, deal with it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's fine, it's gaming. Deal with it. However, the advent of Helldivers 2 did bring with it a lot of tears and crying and upset. I think because Xbox guys were saying, haha, look, we've got an exclusive, and that therefore prompted Sony guys to respond in kind and say, no, it's our game. A lot of these people are the same age as me. Not that far off 50, believe it or not. But my point here is, it's led to some Xbox fans speculating that more games are going to come. We're going to get God of War. We're going to get Last of Us. Guess we're going to get all of this. LOL. The dams are open now. The floodgates of Sony games are going to come flying in. Well, if you take a step back and if you think about it, it's not a good game to use as a metric to find out if Xbox gamers are interested in Sony first-party titles. Because the Sony first-party titles that Xbox games would be interested in are mostly single-player. As I said, your Last of Us, your God of War, Ratchet and Clank. Those type of games. Not necessarily a, quote, shooter game. Xbox, many people say, is the shooter box. That's what it gets dubbed, the shooter box. Off the top of my head, I would say most of the best shooters on Xbox, or most of the favoured shooters, the most enjoyable online shooters on Xbox, would already be on Game Pass anyway. I'm thinking Call of Duty. I'm thinking Halo Infinite. It was good at one point, wasn't it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Even the older Call of Duty games. The point is, Xbox already has a sizable and easily, arguably in some cases, most importantly, cheaper and more accessible library of shooter games in the same vein of Helldivers. So while one can understand the reasoning for Sony bringing the game to Xbox, it would appeal to them, the shooter box, I also feel that using that game as the one guiding metric for whether Sony will bring more games in or whether Sony should bring more games in, by more games I'm talking about single player, big banger, Last of Us exclusives, it doesn't really calculate, because Helldivers isn't that type of game. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't really work for me. However, this isn't as you can probably hear, this isn't an opinion that I'm solidly, rigidly set on. What I'm doing is, now sit down for this. Those of you in the Twitter and X and pony Xbox community might be surprised at this, at what I'm doing. But what I'm doing is having a discussion. What? That's it, going back and forth. I'm listening to what people are saying, provided they play their games and I respect them, and I'm factoring that in to my opinion and ongoing opinion on said topic in the future. In other words, I'm open to discussion and listening. Sorry, I don't mean to talk, but do you get what I'm saying? You know, that's not often fostered within the gaming community. So it's not a set view that I've got. I just feel that you can't use Helldivers to say, right, if Helldivers doesn't sell, then that means there's no point in bringing any first-party PlayStation games to Xbox, because Xbox owners aren't really interested. No, that's wrong. Let me correct that. Xbox owners aren't really massively gunning for another shooter when they've got Call of Duty on Game Pass. They've got Halo. I'm sure it'd be good, Helldivers. What Xbox gamers want is that single-player Sony stuff. So, in other words, to gauge what Xbox players want, you need to drop a Last of Us on the Xbox. You need to drop a God of War on the Xbox. And then if that sells, then fair enough. That will prove my point. That's the type of game that they want. We'll see. Helldivers 2 could sell well anyway, which would, in some ways, counteract my theory, as in it doesn't really matter. Xbox gamers want any kind of PlayStation games. The excitement of a PlayStation game might be enough. As I said, I don't have a set view on it. This is just me discussing. If you enjoyed the content, click the like button, share it, subscribe if you are new. It's an interesting topic. It's an interesting time for Xbox. And this is actually a all-encompassing gaming channel at the moment. It's just that Xbox is, how they say in the streets, hot, litty. Be easy. Behave yourself. See you later.